Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into something absolutely fascinating, the first-person autobiography of the ovaries. Based on our source material, we're exploring the true behind-the-scenes architects of a woman's biological life cycle. And look, this isn't just some dry, clinical overview. It's the story of these miraculous organs, basically told from their own perspective, walking us through a lifelong journey of incredible precision and sheer power. So, here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with 1, introduction to the ovaries, then move to 2, the onset of puberty, 3, the monthly miracle cycle, 4, preparing for pregnancy, 5, the menopause transition, and finally wrap up with 6, protecting your ovarian health. Let's get right into it. Section 1, introduction to the ovaries. Let's meet the unseen heroes. You know what's wild? Despite their incredibly modest size, we're talking about something resembling a white almond, maybe 1.25 inches long, weighing just 1/4 ounce combined. These organs are absolute powerhouses. They literally control physical beauty, dictate mood shifts, and, most importantly, they hold the keys to the creation of life itself. 500,000. Just let that number sink in for a second. That astronomical figure perfectly illustrates the sheer abundance of nature. Even when a girl is just in her childhood, her body already holds 500,000 microscopic eggs. It's this incredible, massive reserve of potential life, just quietly waiting in the wings long before the body is even remotely ready for them. But here is where it gets really interesting. Out of that 500,000, only about 400 eggs will ever actually mature over a woman's lifetime. That breaks down to roughly 1 every 28 days during her fertile years. And get this, the egg is the largest cell in the entire female body. It's literally 25 times larger than a sperm cell. Some of these eggs wait in silence for up to 2 decades, perfectly preserving generations of genetic history until their one specific moment finally arrives. Moving on to Section 2, the onset of puberty, a dramatic awakening. It's fascinating how environmental factors actually play a role in this awakening. The silent internal transformation doesn't just happen at the exact same time for everybody across the board. According to the source, if you're in a warmer climate, this process can kick off as early as 9 years old, while in colder climates, it typically gets going a bit later, around the age of 12. Once the brain's pituitary gland sends out its very first chemical messenger, the ovaries basically wake up and act like master sculptors. They take a body that previously resembled a young boy's and kickstart a transformation that's honestly as dramatic as a caterpillar becoming a butterfly. They actively guide the widening of the pelvis, direct fat padding to the hips, initiate breast development, and trigger body hair growth. They're entirely responsible for sculpting the adult female form. All right, Section 3, the monthly miracle cycle, decades of precision. To really grasp how this day-to-day operation works, we first need to define FSH, which stands for a follicle-stimulating hormone. This is a chemical messenger sent straight from the brain. But the truly astonishing part is the dose. The daily amount released is equivalent to just 1/1,000,000th of an ounce. Seriously. Yet that infinitesimally small drop has the sheer power to wake up those dormant eggs we were just talking about. Let's break down how this actually builds up through 4 specific steps. First, the brain sends that tiny microscopic drop of FSH. In response to that, a protective fluid bubble, called a follicle, starts growing around the chosen egg, bringing it right to the surface of the ovary. Next, the pituitary gland releases a second chemical messenger called LH. And finally, that bubble bursts, freeing the egg so it can begin its journey. Let's zoom in on that second messenger for a second, LH, or luteinizing hormone. This right here is the crucial trigger. Its one specific job is to thin out the wall of that protective bubble sitting on the ovary's surface. Once the wall gets thin enough, boom, it ruptures. That allows the egg to escape and get swept right into the fallopian tube, making its way down toward the uterus. Which brings us to Section 4, preparing for pregnancy, a new chemical factory. So, right inside the crater where that egg just burst from, a brand new temporary chemical factory is instantly created, and it starts pumping out a hormone called progesterone. It's actually a brilliantly named hormone when you think about it. Pro, meaning before, and gestrone, referring to pregnancy. Progesterone's whole job is prepping the environment. It halts uterine contractions so things stay nice and calm, and it builds up this thick, safe lining packed with a complex network of blood vessels to supply oxygen and proteins. Now, all of this incredibly hard work boils down to 2 potential outcomes. If the egg happens to meet a sperm, The body uses that beautifully prepared environment to nourish a new life. But if no sperm is present, the body doesn't panic, it's remarkably efficient. It just neatly dismantles that temporary chemical factory, clears out all those thickened walls and blood vessels in the form of menstruation, and gets the stage totally ready to start the exact same cycle all over again. Now, for Section 5, the menopause transition, where the machinery starts to wind down. If we zoom out and look at the entire biological life cycle, it goes something like this. Between the ages of 10 and 15, the eggs are still quite weak. Peak fertility hits its stride between 20 and 30. By the time a woman hits 42, the quality of those stored eggs rapidly declines, which increases the risk of complications. And finally, usually between 45 and 50, menopause arrives. The ovaries effectively close up their magic shop for good. When that shop closes, the production of estrogen drops significantly. And this really highlights just how heavily the female body relies on these chemicals. Women go through some major physical shifts here. For instance, their risk for heart disease suddenly spikes to match that of men. Their skin can become dry, they experience distinct mood shifts, and they face a very real risk of osteoporosis, a condition where a simple slip on a rug could tragically result in a fractured hip. Finally, Section 6, protecting your ovarian health, maintaining your ovaries. Considering everything we've covered, it makes sense that the source material recommends a highly holistic approach to protecting your health. It's a blend of things. You've got direct medical interventions, like seeing a doctor to manage hormonal imbalances and making sure you're taking calcium. But you pair that with essential lifestyle habits, like maintaining a balanced diet and exercising. Fascinatingly, it also highlights the importance of mental peace, found through things like prayer and maintaining physical cleanliness, as a legitimate way to relieve stress and help regulate these super-sensitive biological systems. But look, we absolutely have to be vigilant, because there is a darker side to this story. Ovarian cancer is a deadly, silent threat. It is notoriously tricky to detect simply because it rarely shows any early symptoms. And tragically, it very often completely escapes detection during standard pelvic exams until the disease has advanced to a highly dangerous stage. 1 in 100. That is a staggering number, and it really underscores the severity of this silent threat. According to the source, in developed places like the US, out of every 100 women who die from various diseases, 1 is tragically lost specifically to ovarian cancer. It's a very sobering reminder that early diagnosis and just paying close attention to what our bodies are telling us is literally a matter of life and death. So, I want to leave you with one final vital question to ponder based on everything we've talked about today. It is so incredibly easy to spend thousands of dollars and honestly countless hours focusing on outward beauty, our faces, our skin, our hair. But are you truly investing enough time and attention into the hidden microscopic miracles happening inside you? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I really hope you walk away today with a profound new respect for the incredible lifelong story of the ovaries.